Welcome to it, sports fans. It is the MKT Show. Had some what you might call technical difficulties, which is industry talk. But welcome to it anyway. I'm MKT. This is that show. I'm joined by Afterman, James Illingsley. After guys are the guys that couldn't get into UCT. James, I'm guessing.
I never actually even applied to UCT.
That's because you couldn't get in.
I mean, look, maybe if I didn't go to After, we would have actually been live at the right time, right?
Listen, you sort of move on from these things. Life's not perfect, right? Life is not a perfect science.
Look, I think you learn and you grow, right?
Okay, that's what they say. Okay. Listen, we're a sports show. James, how was last night? How'd you sleep? What happened in your life?
Good. My power went out randomly for a good while. So I was sitting in darkness. And of course, conveniently, my phone and my laptop was dead, so couldn't actually keep myself busy.
So we have international viewers. When you say your power went off, what's the story there?
Yeah, in this country, I just think things just kind of happen. Nobody really knows what's going on.
It wasn't load shedding, huh?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know what load shedding is. Just so you know.
Well, I mean, I didn't bring it up because I don't think it was load shedding.
Tough.
Right.
That's a tough break. All right.
It was Harry hardcore.
Hey, move to a better area. That's move to a better area. All right, James, good to have you with us. We are going to get into a few things. We're going to talk the Arsenal, and I'll tell you why you should always actually sack the players, not the managers. I think clubs have had it wrong for a long time. We'll talk about international football and international rugby in the end. Remember, we do have a poll running, by the way. James, what is that poll and where is it?
So that poll is on our Twitter, where we did let everyone know that we were back online.
Mm-hmm.
But the poll is, should international football be scrapped? So yeah, I think it'd be cool to hear people's opinions on that. I think that's a very interesting topic.
Because how do you feel whenever it's like international break from Premier League, right? You thinking to yourself,
I mean, look, even though I'm a Liverpool fan and we don't win a lot of games at the moment, I think it's incredibly boring. Someone actually said on the Twitter, there needs to be massive changes. It's pointless and not entertaining. I agree.
Well,
it is.
There you have it, huh?
Paolo also said it should not be scrapped but changed.
There you have it. Okay. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later. Remember, like, share, subscribe, by the way. Cliff Central Sport on the YouTube monster, of course. And I'm MKT Inspires on social media. Otherwise, catch Cliff Central Sport on every single platform. James, your social media handles are?
Instagram, James_Illsley. That's ILSLEY. I think we should get strap lines.
Yeah,
We'll get there. Once we can actually go live normally.
We're on air. We're on air. That's a huge achievement. And Instagram, what else you got?
Twitter, ILSLEY, James. That's just it. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I'm on Facebook, but it's like a personal Facebook. It's not really like a fan page. I don't think I'm at that level yet. You know what I mean?
Yet. I like that.
Yet.
All right.
We're on our way.
Ambitious guy. All right, let's get into it, James. The Arsenal. It's been quite a season. But before we get into that, listen, I want to tell you a story that somebody once told me. That person is actually my mother. And she says, your personality is formed by the time you're 6 years old. So your core traits, and a lot of people think, oh, I can change, and this. People don't change. This is why childhood is so important, right? Foundations. People keep saying the same rhetorics. Foundations, everything. But by 6, you're generally, if you're greedy and selfish and aggressive at 6, that's what you're going to be. And you really have to put people under stress to actually see their real personalities. And I think as we get older, we get better at doing something very, very clever. Is that, and then people can't see this, is that we discern poorly the difference between character and behavior. Now, a lot of people think character and behavior are the same thing. Nobody's perfect. You may behave. You may have a long day and go home and shout at your sister, wife, whatever, husband, but that's not who you are. You're actually kind, caring, but you've had a stressful day. So your behavior there doesn't match your character, right? So I've always thought this. In my own life, absolute disaster at 20, 25, 27, but I think I can be forgiven. And I've always said, I'll forgive an 18-year-old. I'll forgive a 25-year-old. I'll forgive a 27-year-old. What I will not do is have you be a disaster at 35 with the same behavior that when you were 25 you wanted excuses for. That I'm not going to forgive, right? I'm allergic to chaos. So in my personal life, I keep my family and my friends very close, very tight. And the people I hang around with, if you don't see me, it's because you're chaotic. And I don't do chaos. And the Arsenal for the last 17 years have been nothing but that. Listen, you can't make the same mistakes at 35 as you made at 25. I'm sorry, grow up. Otherwise, that's on you. You know, if you've got, and I'm not talking about people, there's a tiny slither of society that's clinically depressed. Mental illness is a whole different thing. I'm talking about most of us. If you're middle class and you had 2 parents and a fridge full of food your whole life, I don't want to hear excuses at 35. I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear it. So listen, the Arsenal, number 1 in football. If you've been watching the show for a long time, you know exactly how I feel about this. There's 3 golden rules if you want to be a winning club. Great ownership. That's deep pockets and they don't interrupt, right? Number 2, you need the manager. That's huge. But number 3, and you cannot go to every single team that has won successfully in the Premier League. You cannot win without a captain. You cannot. I don't care how great your team is. Every dynasty, every great team, even Leicester, even Blackburn when they won it, had Tim Sherwood as captain. And he was the guy. Not a guy, the guy. And when you go and look at Leicester, of course, they had the Jamaican Morgan, Wes Morgan. And he's a leader of men. And then you go and look at every dynasty, Keane, Vieira. These are the guys they had. But I want to tell you something about Arsenal. It's been 17 years now of madness. Since the great Patrick Vieira. Listen to these names that have been captained. This is just in 17 years. These are the names that have captained the great Arsenal Football Club. Thierry Henry, he was not a captain. I'm sorry. You know, it's not high school. Just because you're the best player, we don't make you captain. He was a baller, but not a leader of men. Henry, Gallas, Fabregas, Van Persie, Vermaelen, Arteta, Mertesacker, Koscielny, Xhaka, Aubameyang. The Arsenal captains. Arsenal Football Club. You went from Tony Adams, Patrick Vieira, to that shambles. William Gallas, Xhaka, Aubameyang, Koscielny. What are we doing? And now, if you're an Arsenal fan, folks, it's over, because what you need to do is realize the institution is broken. It's no longer a thing of, oh, City are so good, Chelsea are so good, Liverpool have come up and beaten us. You've beaten yourselves. It's been an absolute shambles at the Arsenal. And here's the problem. You know when you get in a mess, is whenever you actually acknowledge, when you start acknowledging we have a problem, that's the only time you can start to recover. So for Arsenal, I said it's going to take you 5 years to be successful. Here's the problem. You picked Aubameyang as captain, and look what's happening now. He's late. And I said to people the other day, by the way, if Aubameyang's late now, let me tell you something. That's been happening the whole time, but he's been scoring goals. Now he stopped scoring goals. Now it's a problem. That's how football works. That's how life works. We let talented people get away with more, and that's what's happened at Arsenal. But now he's your captain, and now you've made another terrible decision off the back of Mesut Ozil. So you've made another terrible decision. So I want to tell Arsenal something. The institution is broken. When you fix the captain, because I think you fixed the manager now. When you fix the captain, the clock starts then, and then I believe 5 years from that, you'll be in the top 4. That's 5 years from that. Because also, the Arteta thing, I think, it's not a sure thing, because he's still learning. So we might get 2 years down the road and go, ugh, he ain't it. Right? We're not sure on that. But I think you're on the right track. The captain thing's a problem. The ownership is a problem. So the problem for Arsenal, I'll be kind. I'll say you've got 1 out of the 3. Sorry, 33.3% recurring. That's not a pass, not even at after. 33%. You've only got 1 out of 3 of the things that guarantee you winning. You know what, folks, after this, go and check all the great teams in the Premier League. Go and look at every single team. They had 3 of the same things. Great ownership, great manager, great captain. It's impossible to be great without all 3 of those being aligned. Arsenal barely have any of those. You might have a couple of good players, but Aubameyang's not a captain. Arteta, and the ownership, It's so to the Arsenal fans that have been fighting me, I'm telling you right now, When Aubameyang leaves and you actually find a captain, I'm guessing Bukayo Saka might be the next guy, maybe Gabriel, is you make them the captain. From then, by the way, you have 5 years. So right now, the clock has not started on Arsenal's recovery. The Arsenal are doomed. And stop telling me how great Bukayo Saka is. I'll tell you a story. I tell this to a lot of young people I get to speak to. I say, no matter how talented you think you are, when we 18, 19, 21, we think we're unbeatable and I'm smart, I'm this, I'm that. If you go to chaos, I don't care how smart you are. You can be a Harvard graduate, political science, whatever it may be, the best of the best. You will not overcome institutional instability. You will not. I don't care who you are. Whenever you take a job, look for the institution to be stable from top to bottom. Arsenal not stable. There's chaos. You will not overcome chaos. Nobody, no talent, no amount of bravado will overcome institutional chaos. Look for stability. The Arsenal are a shambles right now, and it's been 17 long, long years. Strap yourselves in. Jimbo, what you saying?
I actually saw a very interesting tweet now while you were going on about Arsenal. Someone said, loving the chat about the Gunners. Arsenal fans love to blame their woes on not being at the Highbury anymore.
I mean, come on. Come on. Man City moved stadiums.
Tottenham moved stadiums.
Yeah, stop. Oh,
I mean, I'm not saying this person isn't an Arsenal fan, but I think
that's a great comment.
I do. I think it's very correct, and I think Arsenal have missed the mark for many, many years now. I think when was the last time you saw Arsenal have a good season outside of their big invincible season?
Well, the last, when they botched it, and it was when Leicester won the title.
Yes.
Yeah, they botched that. That was theirs. They should have won that. They should have. It's embarrassing.
It is. As a club like Arsenal, it almost goes back to what I was saying yesterday about Liverpool. A club as big as Arsenal and a club as big as Liverpool should not be losing to teams like Brighton and Hove, regardless of the backroom talk and whatever's going on behind the scenes. I believe there's certain clubs that the Big Six, and maybe that Big Six has changed now, but there's certain clubs that the Big Six should not be losing to.
And so tell me this, though, right? If you were an Arsenal fan, and what do you do about Mikel Arteta? Do you think he's like doing a good job rebuilding, or?
I think he started strong. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I haven't really been following Arsenal much recently. But I mean, I know that this season they were on the second page of the log. You actually had to scroll to get to them. So, look, I think any team's going to struggle when a new manager comes in.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I don't see what he can bring to Arsenal. He started relatively strong. I think he came midway last season, right?
Yeah.
He started relatively strong.
I thought, the FA Cup.
Yeah, I thought Arsenal were going to be a force to be reckoned with. And maybe that's the thing, they can win FA Cups and League Cups and stuff like that, but when it comes to the Premier League, where it's becoming more competitive year on year, they're not compensating for that. So I'm not sure what Arteta will or can bring to the club, if I'm honest.
But you know what the thing is? Isn't it funny? When you hear about big signings, like let's use Haaland as just the example, the current guys, it's so funny that whenever those guys are mentioned, nobody says Arsenal anymore. And if I'm an Arsenal fan, I'd be worried about that. When was the last time they signed like a guy that Chelsea wanted?
Sure.
A guy that they've taken Luiz and Willian from Chelsea, but we were done with them. And that's not how you go to the next level. It makes no sense to me that they keep making these horrible decisions. And so I want to ask you something.
Sure.
When Aubameyang, right? Because that's everybody keeps telling me how good this guy is. For me, I keep saying to Arsenal fans is when Aubameyang was being sold from Dortmund, I never heard a peep from PSG. I didn't hear a peep from Chelsea. I didn't hear a peep from Liverpool. Like these are Barcelona never made any, and he was banging goals. So it wasn't like there's a problem on the field. And I said, because I've played professional football. So I know what it's like in the dressing rooms, and I know what the agents are like. I know what the football network's like. And I'd like to hear your take on this. I said, I worried about Aubameyang when Arsenal signed him because I said there's something wrong. Is that if Arsenal get him no competition, there was no competition for Aubameyang. There is no way, number one, anybody that's making good decisions at the top of the game, at the top level of football, nobody's going to Arsenal. So that worried me about Aubameyang himself. I thought, who's this guy? Like, in his mind, what's he thinking? And then I said, I don't think football is the most important thing to him. Either football or winning is not the most important thing to him because, dude, you're at the top of the game. Why are you going to Arsenal? So that was my first concern. But my biggest red flag about Aubameyang, because I always say, I want system over talent. When Arsenal bought him, like I said, is nobody competed. You didn't hear like, oh, Liverpool are in, Chelsea are in, City are in, and they both could have done, like Gabriel Jesus wasn't settling really there. It was just Aguero. You could have had two there.
And Liverpool had Klopp at the time.
You know what I mean?
I think they were getting Klopp.
Yeah, and Firmino was, you could have a rotation option up there. PSG have got all the money in the world. Real Madrid just lost Cristiano Ronaldo. That was
nothing
coming.
From them. Yeah.
Nothing from them. Barcelona, nothing from them. They went Griezmann. It's a character thing, and that's a huge problem. And then you go and make him your captain. It's so weird to me.
I think, I was very confused when he was on the market, and sorry, when he was on the market, and I was confused for that exact reason. Why would you choose Arsenal, who are maybe not playing Champions League this season, over a club or like Real, like Liverpool, like PSG? For a person of his sort of level and stardom, if you could call it that, I still to this day have no idea what went on that he went to Arsenal. I don't know if it was backroom things. Could have been. Who knows? Football's a weird weird sport.
It's a messy world. Yeah.
A messy world.
It
is.
It is messy world. Very good.
Punny.
I love a pun. I love
nice and punny.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think the Gunners, they're not going anywhere this season. Hey,
No.
They're finishing what, 9th, 10th? They're
Where are they
now.
currently?
I think they're 9th now. But they've got a problem. They need to deal with the culture issue. Like, I was saying to somebody the other day, and I think I might have said on the show yesterday, the hardest thing in the world everywhere you go is to build culture.
Sure.
And because people think you can just put like smart people in the same room and they'll just get on with it, Like, that doesn't work. There's a reason why in our country, HSBC, Investec, Discovery, all these companies keep winning, right? It's not about the talent. Everybody's got money. There's lots of people with money. But when you've got Adrian Gore, you come in-house, they've built the culture at Discovery. I mean, I haven't worked there, but there's a reason they keep winning.
Sure.
Like, it's not lucky. It's not a lottery. There's a reason everybody, if you're in that space, you want to be at Investec. I want to be
gravitate towards those places.
I want to be at HSBC. I want to be with the, everyone knows where the great stuff is happening. Who would want to go to Arsenal?
But that's the thing. It's like you say, everyone knows where the great stuff is happening. You're a player like Aubameyang. When you were at Dortmund, you were capable of playing for teams like City, United, Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool. And the last team out of the big six on this list is Arsenal. That's the club you went for.
But wouldn't that worry you?
As a player or?
No. Just like as a fan, to me, because I kind of look at the business side and I always look at the personal side because people forget that these guys are people, right?
Sure.
Like in my personal life. So when I was younger, this stuff didn't matter to me. But like I'm 35 now. For me, as I said before, is if you're chaotic, I'm not hanging around with you. Like I don't want to hear the same drama 6 months later. Like you're having problems with your boss or just life problems. And you're getting drunk on Sundays. Like, I'm not going to do that now. I did that in my 20s. It's not for me now.
Yeah.
Like, if you keep displaying a certain type of behavior, shouldn't that worry people around you? Or do people not get into that? Like, for me, Aubameyang, there's clearly a behavior that nobody wanted to go near because football talks. And I just think Arsenal are displaying such bad behavior now over 17 years.
Oof, it's been a while.
Like,
it has.
I mean, you go from Vieira to Gallas as your captain. Like Henry, Gallas, what's he doing? Vermaelen, Arteta, Mertesacker, Koscielny, Xhaka, Aubameyang. Those are your club captains. You're Tony Adams at a stage.
Even the Granit Xhaka decision to me is absolutely madness. He may be at the time when he was announced before his whole thing with the fans, he may have been a one club man and this role model to the younger players, but I think there's a lot more that goes into deciding a captain more than, like you say, more than being the superstar.
And hey, do you remember when Xhaka stormed the field?
That's what I'm talking about. That's when the whole thing went south.
But remember yesterday we spoke about self-confidence. Arsenal they have no self-confidence because, there's people in relationships who'll catch their partner cheating, leave them for 2 weeks, and go back. I don't know if you know anybody like that, like who's up for that sort of mental abuse. Like, okay, well, I deserve that. Arsenal kind of feel like that, right? They're like, Xhaka because he threw the shirt on the floor.
Yeah.
The fans hated it. Oh, we'll ban him for a little bit. You know what? Actually, we'll go back to you. Like, what does that say about Arsenal?
Arsenal are like, they're either desperate or masochists. I think that's the word.
That's the word.
Masochists.
So, I just can't see it for the Arsenal.
No, I don't see it for a long time.
5 years at least.
Absolutely.
For me, they have to get rid of Aubameyang now.
Absolutely.
But they just gave him that huge deal. And then but it's ridiculous. And maybe this is what Arsenal are. And Arsenal fans have to accept this. Wasn't the Mesut Ozil thing a disaster?
Absolutely.
And now they've gone and done the same thing with Aubameyang. Because they just paid him, by the way. They just paid him a new deal. Yeah. No, not for play.
To become the captain?
Yeah.
Or?
They've made him the highest paid player at the club. After we kind of saw last season there was some stuff, they've paid him and now made him the captain. Mesut Ozil. You knew there was problems when the contract was ending. We could see it already. There was stuff going on.
Yeah. And then he kind of went behind the curtain and disappeared for a good while.
And it was 2 managers in a row. Emre and Arteta couldn't put up with his attitude.
There's definitely something behind the scenes there, I think.
So Arsenal are just making... You know what? You know what I compare Arsenal to? It's the 35-year-old who still thinks it's cool to get drunk on a Saturday, and you wonder why nobody wants to hang out with you. You know what I mean? Like on a Sunday night, they're hammered and they're the 35-year-old guy or girl at the bar.
That shouldn't be there.
And then you're just like, oh, why does no one want to hang out with me? Why am I single? It's like, no, you keep making ridiculous teenage mistakes.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to hang out with that person.
Go find a wife.
Or just go home. You got a job. Like just show like you're a grown up.
Yeah.
Arsenal are behaving like children.
You see, that's also another thing. I don't know what sort of gives them this perception that they can behave like children. Sure, if you've won 5 or 6 Premier Leagues in a row, top of the pops, absolutely, you can demand whatever you want.
Yeah,
but a team like Arsenal, who are ninth on the log, below a team like West Ham. And then the rest is actually just the big 6. But the point remains, 9 places.
That's incredible.
I mean, they're just above Aston Villa and Leeds United.
After 29 games.
Leeds United, who were promoted
last season.
Marcelo
Bielsa. It's insane. And you know what? This is why we do the show, is the Arsenal fans have to accept now, this is what you are.
Sure.
Like stop acting shocked.
Sure.
I love how Arsenal fans get mad still. Like, oh, I'm so mad that Arsenal are bad. You've been making bad decisions for 17 years. Like, well, what do you think's going to happen?
That's what I'm saying. When was the last time you saw the Arsenal, you watched an Arsenal game and you genuinely thought, wow, this is a team. I've done that a couple of times when I've watched a Tottenham game, a Liverpool game. I've watched the game and been truly, amazed as to how the players are completely outplaying their opponents. When was the last time you saw that and did that for Arsenal?
2005 was the last time. A guy called, maybe 2006, because he had a big injury in his last season. A guy called Thierry Henry. I'll give you an example. Thierry Henry is the last player from Arsenal that I ever thought, oh my goodness, I'd take him at Chelsea.
Sure.
Since then, right, they have not had one player. And Fabregas came to Chelsea, but there's not been one player, not even Robin van Persie. I would not have taken him over Drogba. There's not a single player that they've had since 2005 where I've thought to myself, That's different. They've not had a single player in any position that I've revered at all. And that's got to be worrying. And if I was Arsenal, listen, if I'm an Arsenal fan right now, I am dead quiet on social media because you're only a big club in your own mind. It's like I don't know if you've ever seen people that were good looking in high school and then they
peaked in high school and then that was like it, yeah.
But they still think they look like they looked in high school.
Yeah.
So I actually know somebody like that, and I actually ran into them at the shops.
Oof, orcs.
Very awkward for them. Very awkward for them. Luckily, I've always been ugly, so for me, I've never had that problem.
Yeah. But I didn't want to say it. I just,
You're a sensitive guy.
Absolutely.
By the way, for those who didn't see the show yesterday, James, speaking of heartbreak, a friend of mine.
Sorry, before we go to the heartbreak, just I don't know, are we moving on from Arsenal?
Not yet. Not
okay,
yet.
we'll come back to this tweet then.
Yeah. Listen, I wanna say a friend of mine yesterday phoned me late.
Sure.
This friend of mine, she's mental. She'll phone me anytime.
Is she like a friend or?
No, friend. Friend. I've known her since I've known her for 30 years. No. It ain't like it. No, friend of mine. But she's mental. She's loco. She'll call in. She's a lawyer, so they can't sleep because they're doing terrible things for terrible people. Anyway, she phones me. She watched the show yesterday, and she said, "I must ask you something."
Okay.
Are you still looking for closure on that situation? So, sorry, some context. Yesterday, James revealed the most incredible story about. And you can go and see the clip actually on social media if you go to Cliff Central Sport on YouTube. I think it might be on the platforms. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Go to the YouTube page. It's called Heartbreak. What did I call it?
Heartbreak and Chill.
Heartbreak and Chill. Go and watch that clip on YouTube. But yesterday, James, essentially, he got dumped in school, in high school, with a letter, and never heard from the girl again in high school. And it was in the middle of exams.
Yeah. Matric exams, I might add.
Yeah. So really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was asked to ask you, do you have any closure on that situation, James?
Yeah. I think it was one of my first real relationships. So, I mean, also it happened a long time ago.
How old are you now?
24.
It was only 6 years ago, James. You're talking like it was last millennium.
Yeah, but it's high school things.
Okay.
I think when you move on from high school, you almost adjust, and I experienced it the past year or so. Probably shouldn't say why, but I won't.
Yeah. We can get to it.
You sort of realize that, there's high school things and there's childish things, and you're like, really? I mean, I know I'm only 24.
Yeah.
Right, but just like,
You've moved on, huh?
Exactly.
Hey, good for you, James. So, but did you go on? She said I must ask you this part. Now I thought I thought about it. I was also told, did you go on a wild tear afterwards? Did you go wild, like binge drinking, or how did you deal with it? Were you just crying like a little baby in the fetal position? I'm not asking this. Somebody, a fan of the show, is asking this. So,
well, I hope that fan of the show is actually watching.
She will be watching. She watches everything.
Oh, and just like that, our viewer count has gone up. I think someone's sent out the message that it's getting interesting. Yeah, and we're back on James's social life. Did I go on a wild tear? I didn't. I don't believe that alcohol or drugs is the route to happiness.
Nobody said drugs, James. I mean, why did that come up?
Well, I mean, wild tear could mean anything, really.
Sure.
And you went the alcohol route, so I just kind of, I don't believe in I don't believe in finding happiness at the bottom of a bottle.
Oh,
there you go.
Wise words.
There
Jimbo.
you.
All right, let's finish off on the Arsenal. What did you say? There was a tweet.
There was. Let me find this tweet real quick. There's a couple of tweets. That's for the conversation later. This coming from a Man United fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is why our RVP, Robin Van Persie, left Arsenal for Man United. He saw the problems and time wasn't on his side. He wanted a Premier League title.
But let's talk about that. Isn't that a good indicator? Like, also, by the way, in sales, right?
Yes.
Is if you're in business, which is what football is.
Sure.
When they sold Robin Van Persie, sell him to Real Madrid. You don't sell him to Manchester United. Now we must give some context there. It is believed that Van Persie would have held out and just gone to United for free. By the way, his contract had come to an end. So
Sure.
that's another problem that Arsenal have had, by the way. So for those who maybe don't watch the business side of football, in football, what tends to happen, James, is that you never want a player's contract to get to the last 18 months, because you know what they do then is there's something called the Bosman ruling. So if a player gets to 6 months of his contract left, he can sign for a new team for free.
Isn't that if he's like over 25 or something?
I think I can't
Something
remember
like
when
that.
the Bosman ruling.
Yeah.
But if you get into the last 6 months of your contract, but generally what you do is you don't want a guy getting into the last 18 months of his contract, because essentially what you've got then is only 12 months.
Sure.
Because once he hits that 6-month threshold, he's out of here.
There you go.
And by the way, Arsenal, Flamini,
Oof.
Van Persie,
Oof.
Fabregas, all these guys, Clichy, Adebayor, they let all
I'm
of those.
having real childhood nostalgia right now.
Yeah, they let all of those go into the. That was 15 years ago. They let contracts go into the 18-month period. Disaster. Van Persie, it happened. But on the Van Persie thing is, how do you let him go to the one place? You let him go to Man United, it's over for everyone. Yeah, good idea. We'll take the money. Let him run his deal down.
But don't you think him going to United also proves that things behind the scenes may not be what they seem? Because you as a player know, going from at the time, a top 6 or a top 4 competitive side, a Champions League place competing side, you as a player know that is the switch you're making.
100%.
You're going to make your life harder, essentially, in a way, by having to compete against this same team that's also competing for the Champions League place.
Yeah.
How desperate are you to get out of Arsenal?
It's so wild to me. The Arsenal are so wild to me. But that's a great point on the Van Persie thing. Like, that's Arsenal in a bottle.
Sure.
Like, hey, here's our best asset. Number one, we've let the asset kind of go to the market by not negotiating his contract in time. And then we've sold him to the one place you should not sell him to is Alex Ferguson.
Oh, no. No.
And then what does he do? Title. Top goal scorer.
And he walks out for the, what do they call them? The guard of honor.
Yeah.
Against Arsenal.
It's hilarious. I mean, the Gunners. Hey, sorry to deliver bad news. We'll get some more social media in a little bit, James. Let's get to this. You know, we live in a different time, right? And we now, in this time, we venerate youth. Is every young person, James and his friends, they'll tell you this. The old people don't get it. Our parents, mom and dad, used to do it like this. It used to be like that.
It has to be lit, fam.
It's got to be lit. That's what's cool now, right? And I always say to this, I don't see an 18-year-old building an Amazon. I don't see a 25-year-old building a Toyota. I'm not saying that young energy and content makers, like this isn't awesome. I'm just saying hold on with kicking people of age out. Just hold on. I'll tell you why. You can't fake experience, which is why I don't get the following. I've never understood this idea that you get rid of managers before you get rid of players. I know it's the consensus. I know it's the consensus. We touched on it with Rogan Heel yesterday. I know it's the consensus. But here's my thing about this. And I've told this story before. A mentor of mine and my mother actually have always said to me, when you get into the working world, don't chase talent, don't chase money. You know what's rare in this world? There's two things that are rare. Greatness and good leadership. Right? When somebody is great and they're a good leader, they are almost impossible to find. But you know why you chase the leadership? Because great leadership generally is doing great things. If you're doing great things, there's going to be money around that. So don't worry about the money, because there's a lot of people with money that aren't doing great things. They're not good leaders. They're not going to develop you personally. They're not going to hold you accountable. They don't care if you grow. You're just a commodity to them. There are people out there who are just rich and, they're kind of willy-nilly. But if you want to grow, build a career, build a platform, by the way, grow as a person, be useful to your society, you chase great leadership, which is why I've never understood why clubs don't care about that, because we've seen when people have stuck with their managers long-term, what's happened. So I don't get the current culture, and it doesn't make sense to me. And there's one anomaly, and it is Chelsea. But this is the general rule, right? Talent is everywhere, guys. But there's a reason why there's only one Amazon, one Tesla, one Toyota, Bezos, right? You got the South African Pretoria boy, Musk. There's only one of them. There's only one of those people that'll hold you to those standards. There is only one Pep Guardiola. There is only one Jose Mourinho. I don't understand this idea of moving off managers. I wish managers could have conferences to discuss this stuff. Why do clubs move off players? Because I say this all the time to people. Talent is everywhere. Leadership is impossible to find. There are smart people everywhere. Especially now in football, there are academies everywhere. Listen, I know people think Cristiano Ronaldo can't be replaced. He can. Leo Messi is maybe the one person on this earth who can't be replaced. But for goodness sake, Haaland, I can replace you. Mane, I can actually go and find a 20-year-old somewhere. They are replaceable. Pep Guardiola is impossible to find. Let me tell you why. Self-awareness is, in order to lead, you must be self-aware. Jose Mourinho, impossible to find. Alex Ferguson, impossible to find. Because you know why? It's very, very different to having to deal with your own problems. And I tell this to people all the time. Sportsmen, your job as a footballer, as a rugby player, as a tennis player, your job is to be selfish. It is to only think about your body, your performance, your arrival on time. It is your job to be selfish. As a manager, it is your job to think about 35, 25 alpha male egos. That's a whole different world. Oh, and by the way, I'm rich now. I'm Cristiano Ronaldo. Please coach me. Please push me to levels I've never known before. Not everybody can do that. Everybody can pitch up on time for work and train and be a part of the lads and the team. That's easy enough. Playing is easy enough. When you ask a person, because dressing rooms are corporations. There are different personality types. There are different skill sets. You've got to make that work. You've got to create this sort of douchebag word that everybody loves. Synergy, right? And that is almost impossible to build because at the same time, you got to build culture. Move on from players. I can live without talent. I cannot live without leadership. Name one place where you've ever been. As you're at home or listening at work right now. You may be in this very situation right now, sitting at your business. You may be sitting there and going, I've been here for 5 years. I have not grown an inch. Now, that's not because you're not talented. You don't have the facilities. You don't have the people pushing you. You don't have the exposure. Because what great leaders do is they expose you to places and areas personally and professionally you're uncomfortable with. And you will sink or swim, and they will guide you. They will put the foundation for you to be able to get there. Now, some people may take 7 years to do what some other people take 3 years to do. But great leaders will ensure that they build the building blocks and have the building blocks for you to get there. Which is why it makes no sense. Again, why do people move off great managers? And I believe in today's day and age, there are only 2 managers that I'd never move off. Mourinho, and the other is Pep Guardiola. Everybody else, I can live without. Because you've shown me nothing. You've never built, once you've built multiple dynasties, I'm in. Most of the other guys I can move off. But Mourinho, and I think Man City have realized this now, and I think Bayern Munich made a huge mistake with Pep, but that was a whole nother situation. I don't understand why people sack managers so quickly, especially since they the rare thing. How many new players do we see every season? You go, my God, they got him from what? League One? Players are easy to find. I know that hurts, and they're big ego animals. Trust me, footballers, I know them. A lot of them are my friends. But you're replaceable. You're cannon fodder. Why do you think the Premier League managers, Sam Allardyce, same guy every time? There's a reason for that. Corporations aren't stupid. Corporations understand it is impossible to manage people, and it's even more ridiculous that the cycle keeps going as it does. Folks, chase leadership. Don't chase money. Premier League clubs everywhere. In fact, the Premier League is actually not that bad. Italy and Spain, there's a reason why those leagues are a shambles. It's not the playing staff. It's not the presentation. It's not the production. The institutions are broken. If you go and look at Italian football, it's very common for 3 managers to manage a team in Italy in one season. Like, very common. It's not an anomaly. That's why Serie A is a joke. That's why La Liga is becoming a joke. That's why La Liga is becoming a joke. There's no managers. Where are all the great managers? In the English Premier League. That's why it's a great product. I don't care how much talent you've got, folks. Talent has to be managed. I don't care who you are. I don't care how talented you think you are. Without leadership, you're lost. You are absolutely lost. Jimbo, your thoughts? Your team's currently actually in a situation where I know a lot of Liverpool fans seem to think Jurgen Klopp is the second coming of the Messiah, but I'm not on board with that. Your thoughts on the notion of just firing managers?
I'm not here for it. I can tell you that much. I have been asking the same question for years. When these big clubs struggle, and a lot of them do, and United's been struggling for a while, Liverpool's, before they had Klopp, they went through that massive dip. I have constantly asked myself, and many people actually, why is it that the manager gets replaced? When you have players in a team like Joe Allen and Stuart Downing that are there for longer than they should be.
Yeah.
What was the point of those purchases? I mean, your Liverpool Football Club, surely you can attract the Aubameyang. So, yeah, no, look, I'm not there for it. I think players should be more accountable for the form of a team, and players should not be of this mindset where, no, we want to go somewhere else to win titles.
Yeah.
Your job at the club is to help the team win titles. Not, oh no, I wanna go to PSG because PSG win the League One every year for the last 27 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I want to go to Juve because they've won the league title for the last, I think that's on
8
I think
it's
years
8 now. Yeah. They're not winning it this season though.
I want to go to Rangers or Celtics, sorry, because they've won the Scottish treble for 12 years in a row or something. It's stupid.
It's a joke.
It's your job as the player, and especially when you're a striker, to score those goals.
Yeah.
And yes, I get you hit dips in form, and even the best players are guilty of that, or guilty. I don't want to say,
Yeah.
You can't help going through these poor form, but
They're
you
human.
can help getting out of it, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I think, that's why I put Mohamed Salah. I think yesterday or the day before you asked me, would I keep Salah or would I keep Mane? And I said Mane. Because Salah is a player that, don't get me wrong, he's amazing. He's incredible when he's good,
Yeah.
when he's in form,
Yeah.
when he's not being selfish.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work for Liverpool, especially when you're going through a different form.
Okay, but let's talk about your manager, right? What is do you think if you lose Jurgen Klopp, do you think he's replaceable? Like, because he brings quite a lot, right? Like, he's the personality, he's a good coach. Like, he's clearly a good coach. I think he's taken players. He's taken, Trent, Robertson. These are people we didn't know about. Joe Gomez.
He's built Henderson into...
No, that's
Exactly.
coaching. That's coaching. That's not talent.
Sure.
Like, we can see all of those guys have a talent sort of ceiling, but he's created a system, number one, which is incredibly difficult to do.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's also got the self-awareness to go, here are my limitations. Let me put players in these positions to succeed. Like, is he replaceable at Liverpool? Like, if you replaced Klopp now, all right, like, who would you get to replace him?
Sure. I think it being Liverpool Football Club, expectations are always going to be high. It's going to have to be someone with a name.
But who's out there? Like, Mourinho's gone, Pep's gone.
I don't think Mourinho would manage Liverpool, if I'm honest.
Do you think Liverpool would reject him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think with Liverpool's whole mentality of being a family club and this whole,
you don't upset people.
Yeah, I don't think. I think they see that that's not going to be a good image for Liverpool.
So you say no Jose for Liverpool.
Nah.
So you wouldn't take Jose, huh?
I wouldn't. Also, I wouldn't.
Hold on. So okay. So if I gave you an option between Brendan Rodgers and Jose Mourinho for Liverpool, so let's just say Pep's gone in our imaginary world, Brendan Rodgers or Jose Mourinho?
Brendan Rodgers.
Massimo Allegri. So Rodgers over Mourinho, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Massimo Allegri over or Jose Mourinho?
Allegri.
Okay. Carlo Ancelotti or Jose Mourinho?
Oh, that's a tough one. Are we talking about prime Carlo Ancelotti or
no? Well, right now we're talking about right now. You own Liverpool next season.
Look, I saw what he did to Everton initially, and I did like what he had done there. I think that season Liverpool did struggle massively with Everton, but then they went into the next season and Everton weren't really a force to be reckoned with. They kind of were, but not really. So I still think Ancelotti, and
wow.
I'll tell you why. Okay, I and a lot of people are not gonna like this. I don't buy into Mourinho or Pep Guardiola. No, I buy into Mourinho. I don't buy into Pep Guardiola.
Let's have it.
Because, yeah, sure, he's created dynasties at Bayern, Barca,
those were
City.
Yeah.
You know, he's had, and I'm not going to say created for a reason. He's had these league-winning sides. But why? When you're at clubs like Bayern, Barca, and City, you have all of the money in the world at your disposal. All of it. Where are you struggling? Where are you building a team? If you give Pep Guardiola a team like, let's say, Tottenham Hotspur or Everton, okay? If you give Guardiola one of those two teams and he wins the Premier League, I'd buy into him.
Sure.
I would. But I haven't seen Guardiola prove himself.
Interesting you say that. Well, I'll start off on the Jose one. What about his Porto days where he won 2 trebles in a row and beat the whole of Europe with a Porto team that had Benny McCarthy at striker?
Sorry. I did think about that because I knew this was going to come up because this was a point I wanted to raise at some point this week. Sure, he turned Porto into an incredible side, and then he went to Real.
No, Chelsea.
Oh, he went to Chelsea, won the league,
changed the face of British football forever.
Then Real, then back to Premier League, right?
Yeah. By the way, created the best defensive team of all time. Conceded 15 goals in the league.
But where's he gone wrong after that? Why hasn't he been able to turn?
What about
Man United into those teams?
So Inter, he went and won a treble. By the way, never been done. Hashtag never been done there. That's treble. It's made history. Back-to-back titles there.
Sure.
So the United thing's a good thing. Remember I was saying just now, is sometimes when the institution is chaotic, I don't care. I don't care how talented you are. You're not going to succeed. Right? He went to Real Madrid, dethroned Pep. Chelsea made history. So my thing is this about Jose is, hey, he came second, by the way, at Man United. And we've seen how difficult that is. He came second and won the Europa League. Keep that in mind. And won the League Cup. At a Man United team that has done what since Fergie left? Diddly. So under Mourinho, they had the best season they've had since Fergie left.
And then they still sacked him.
And because you know what? Sometimes, and I think this is a thing to ask as well, and it applies, I think, across the board, and probably more so even to Pep.
Sure.
You know, this idea that when you at a lower club, you got to prove yourself as a coach it's crazy to me, because winning is not for everybody, and we've seen that. We've seen lots of people with lots of money, and it's been a catastrophe, right? Is when expectations are highest, is actually you need the best to work in those conditions.
Sure.
Because we've seen when Man United try and get a Moyes, what happens? We've seen when you get a past at LVG, what happens. We've seen that. We've seen Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now as a manager is when the expectations are to win, there are very few people in this world that know how to win.
Sure.
I mean, there's a reason why, and institutionally as well, there's a reason why only Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Blackburn, and now very recently Liverpool have won the league. So it's not a money thing. Everyone in the Premier League's got money. Is that the institutions have to be ready to win. And I think, so I hear what you're saying about the money thing, but I think Jose Mourinho being a Tottenham's a mismatch. Jose Mourinho is a supermodel, perfect abs. She should be strutting her stuff on the beach. Tottenham are a pot-bellied middle-aged man. They don't belong together.
They're like me, except I'm not middle-aged.
Well, I'm not shaming anyone. This is not a space to shame. But my point is, Tottenham aren't ready to win. Jose wants to win. And you know what? Winning in life is sometimes we idealize it, and we live in a different time.
Sure.
We're a little bit softer now. That sort of bravado alpha male thing. And take it from me. I've been in football dressing rooms with international footballers. That is an ugly place to be when you're not winning. And when you take it to the Mourinho levels, is some managers aren't cut out for that. There's very few people that could go and win. Very few. And we've seen it because Man United have had the resources. What happened?
Well, you see, you say Man United have had the resources. Someone in the comments said, what if you don't have the right support and facilities to do your job at a maximum level? It makes all the impact in the world.
Which is what I've just said. No matter how talented you are in life, there is no place you can go. If it's chaotic, get out of it. By the way, you're in a relationship with somebody right now and it's chaotic, get out of it. You will know nothing flourishes in chaos. Nothing.
Sure.
Adversity and chaos aren't the same thing. A bit of challenge, a bit of pushback from life, that happens everywhere. If your boyfriend or girlfriend is chaotic and you're trying to grow your career at work, you are screwed. Get out of it.
It's a problem.
Stop thinking, oh, I can fix her, I can fix him. Get out of it. If you're 4 years into it and she's still drinking on Sunday nights, get out of it. Chaos is impossible to overcome. I don't know who sent that comment.
Ali Baloy.
Ali, that is a magnificent comment. Because you can't overcome chaos. And for me, Mourinho gave United the best season they've had since Fergie left. But now we can see, like United are naked now. It's a shambles. It's a shambles.
It's a sad story, I'll tell you that much. It is.
And as for Pep Guardiola, I think you've got to respect something that he does. Is that sometimes you earn your way to the top, right? Is if I go and get an MBA at Harvard, I'm not coming to work at your parents' accounting shop. I'm not doing it, right? Because I've studied the MBA.
Sure.
I'm going to Merrill Lynch, right? I'm going to HSBC. Like, I'm not going to go. Why should Pep go and work at Tottenham? He's earned it. He's earned the right. Is at Barcelona, they said, excuse me, come in, take this job. This guy called Leo Messi. If you don't win, you're going to get the hell out of here. And we've seen what's happened recently. Since Pep Guardiola left, what's happened to Barcelona? Shambles. You can say it. Shambles.
It is. It is a shambles, and I think it's also been a semi-shambles at Real without Jose.
I agree. Oh, well, Zidane won 3 Champions League titles in a row. But
no, but that's why I say semi-shambles, because they haven't really been the Real Madrid.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
But then again, what resources did Pep and Jose have at their disposal? Barcelona is an institution in terms of they believe in playing in this, having this Barcelona way and being the Barcelona way. It's an institution.
More than a football club, they say.
Exactly. And you said the other day Pep went in and out of that system. So he knows that, like the back of his hand.
Yeah.
He knew how to manage that squad and how to build a winning squad.
Yep.
Jose Mourinho came into a club that had mega superstars. Superstars. You're not going to win anything.
Well, Frank Lampard got £250 million, and we saw that money isn't everything.
Oh yeah, no, he bought a couple of people, and that went. He got a whole new squad, didn't he?
And what was happening? And now Thomas Tuchel's here. It's like, oh, that's what a manager should be like. So, you know what? For me, is I think we always get caught up in that he has to go and downgrade. No, like if I've studied at Harvard, I'm not coming to work for you for free. Go to hell. I want to work with the best. And by the way, I've always said this, and I'll say this for the final time. Where expectations are highest, right? It is much harder to be in those environments than where there's no expectation. It's harder to manage Real Madrid than to manage Tottenham. Like for Jose, this is a schlep at Tottenham because they don't know how to win. Like for him, you know, I think I don't know if did you see Jose's interview after the last game where they won? He said football's different now because you know why Jose doesn't like kids is that you have to be soft with kids. You know, like people your age, you're still developing, and you got to like, okay, it's okay that we didn't win. You know why Jose wants 28-year-olds, not 29-year-olds? Like, this is BS. We lost. It is unacceptable. Go and look at all his dressing rooms. He gets rid of the kids. Right? Get the hell out of here. Try to do it at Man United, and they gave a bit of pushback, right? He didn't want Pogba. He didn't want that. It was clear straight away. There was a personality clash because Jose Mourinho has no time for anybody's feelings. Is come in here, we're going to win. Inter Milan, I come in straight away, we win a treble. Right? What did he do? Milito, Materazzi, Javi Zanetti, El Trattore, by the way, my favorite player of all time. He builds that team around mature people because the pushback from Jose Mourinho for results is through the roof. And young people don't like that. And it's especially now, James. Now people get to feel, and that changes the way things are done. That ain't going to fly with Jose. And that's what's happening at Tottenham.
But I think it is flying with Jose, though.
What's that?
I think him accepting these results, because he said something along the lines of in that post-match interview against Aston Villa, I think it was.
Yep.
Which was a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. He said something along the lines of being content with, I think, not winning.
Well,
I don't know what the score was.
No, he said, so the previous thing is now, he said we must not wait for we mustn't be content with this result. We mustn't be content with needing to be inspired to win. We must always be winning. Like basically he was saying is we shouldn't always need to like lose and be down and be inspired to win. It's like, no. Great teams, winning's like, here's a great saying. My old man, tough guy, super strict. And now, James, this is very, very cold. But I have to tell you this. My old man has a great saying, and he says it to all of his people in business, and my dad's not for everybody. He says, the world is a better place when people do their jobs and they don't expect credit for it. Now, if you say that today, people go, oh, because everyone wants a pat on the back now, and it's a more feely society and different personalities, blah, blah, blah. But if you want to win at the top end, right, at the very top with Pep, like at that level, Mourinho can't afford to babysit you. So at Tottenham, they need babysitting. Ndombele needs babysitting. Sanchez needs babysitting. Especially now, these young kids, poor Pogba, they need babysitting. That's why Mourinho wants men in his dressing room. He doesn't do kids. Because men, you don't need to reassure Didier Drogba that he's done well. He scores a hat-trick, he goes home. I expect to do that. With young kids, is, oh, coach, did you see I scored a hat-trick? Right? Now, that plays itself out in very, very interesting ways. And I think at Tottenham is that when they win, I think everybody, there's still that mentality of, we won, yes. Mourinho's like, no, we did what we were supposed to. And that's two very contrasting philosophies in life. You know, so yeah, I know it's cold because a lot of people don't like it when I say that to them. And I say it to a lot of people because I'm starting to become more and more like my dad, is do your job. I don't want to hear it. Right? But now we live in a different time. You do need to be sensitive. We live in a time where people want to come to work and have their personality come into it. You know what Jose Mourinho says is, by the way, leave your ego at home. Don't check it at the door. Leave it at home. Because you know what Mourinho says? If you check your ego at the door, you might go back and get it. Yeah, leave your ego at home.
Leave your ego with your 200,000-pound Lamborghini.
Your golden Lamborghini. All right, let's take some social media there, James.
Sure. Got a tweet. The facilities argument doesn't work in my mind. United have the best facilities, but they're still crap. Which, you know, I think very, very, very true, obviously. But I think that's where it does become either a manager or a player problem. What squad did Man United have when they came second that season with Jose?
Who was in there? Pogba. I mean, a very similar squad to now. No Lindelof though. I think it was Bailly's probably best season, most consistent season. They had Shaw.
Still had Lingard, who was kind of okay.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it wasn't great.
No, but that's the thing. So then you have a look at who the players are at a team like United.
Yeah.
In a time when the Premier League is more competitive than ever. I mean, look at the current top six. It's West Ham and Leicester City.
So, but what would you do? And I think Leicester are probably the best example. Is I'd start getting rid of some of the players at Man United. Like, keep a manager. Like, Ollie, okay, let's say you hate Ollie or whatever, but I think you've walked too far down the road with him now to sack him. You have to keep him now. Like, you can't keep restarting, because you must remember, every time you restart, manager comes in, oh dear. Okay, I don't like 4 of the players. I want to play 3-4-3. This guy can only play 4-3-3, 3-5-2. Like, that happens all the time. And Man United, if they're not careful, are going to become the next Arsenal. Because because they've made bad decisions now. Like, okay, so here's another rule, James, and people know this who watch the show. Is I'll forgive you your first divorce, right? Like, we'll get married, we'll make mistakes in life. It happens, you all get duped. I'll forgive you your second divorce. You had some baggage, she had some baggage, you came in, maybe she had some kids, and it's difficult to adopt someone else's kids. But I'm sorry, the third divorce is a you problem, right? That's a you problem. That's you. If you've been divorced 3 times, that's a you thing. Like, you need to sit down in a mirror and have a look at yourself, because I'll forgive Moyes, right? I'll forgive Louis van Gaal. But if you made a mistake with Mourinho, I can't forgive you there. Now it's a pattern. Now you're this person. You're compulsively making bad decisions, right? Like, Man United have a problem. They've been making some bad decisions since Fergie left. Like, some really bad decisions. When they got Jose, why did they get him? Because you knew. It's almost like in life, you should never be angry at people for who they are. You knew who Jose Mourinho was. And then at the end, people started sulking about him like, oh, I can't believe how defensive the football is. Like, what are you talking about? You knew that coming into the relationship. Why are you complaining?
You begged for him.
So what do they want? Well, so do you think it's a United problem, huh?
I do.
Like the club.
I think there's a serious, I don't know what the word for it would be, but I think there's a serious issue at United, and it has been like that for a long while, where they've had players on their books for way too longer than they should be. That wasn't English. Let's just pretend it was English.
You're half Afrikaans.
I went to AFTA.
And you went to AFTA.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, not the smartest.
Not the sharpest pencil.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's similar to the Stuart Downing, Joe Allen argument where why?
Oh, the Spanish Xavi, or what's he, the Welsh Xavi?
Who are we looking at?
Joe Allen.
Oh my gosh, please don't even get me started.
The Welsh Xavi. I remember when Liverpool fans said, we got the Welsh Xavi.
He was good at first, he was. Yeah. And then he just turned into...
Yeah, he's rubbish.
Words that I can't use.
Yeah, he's rubbish.
But anyway, so it's like... And some people might not be happy with this, but I think Michael Carrick was on the books at Man United for way too long. Way, 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 way past his sell-by date. And I think that is the problem. You try and hang on to these players because they have this Premier League winning mentality, because they've won a Premier League or they've won a Champions League, or they've won an FA Cup. You think keeping them there is going to keep this mentality, or it's going to rub off on these other players, and you're going to win another title. You're going to walk your way to a new title.
It's crazy.
That's what I think, and a lot of clubs are guilty of it, not just Man United.
So you'd say keep Klopp, huh?
No, still not.
Klopp out.
I think, why are we wasting our time? The same with Man United. Why are you wasting your time? You say that they're going to have to go through rebuilding and stuff like that. I get it.
Yeah.
But as a club like Man United, when do you call it quits and say, okay, no, listen, since Fergie's left, things haven't been quite right. We need to now find a manager that we can keep here for the next 26 years that'll take us to Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues.
Yeah, I mean, 26. I don't know if you'll ever see another Fergie. We're too impatient.
Probably not. I mean, Arsene Wenger's also his 24-year tenure or whatever.
That was too long.
way overdue.
Yeah, that was. But anyway, but my point is this: is for me is build clubs either. You know what makes Chelsea great is that Roman Abramovich isn't a fan. Like he doesn't. So for me and you, we should root. Like we should say, keep a player, keep a manager too long.
Sure.
For the business side of things, is we understand how the structure works. The manager is the guy that has to create the environment. So why wouldn't you want to give him time? Because there's lots of players. There are very few managers.
But how much more time are you going to give someone like Solskjaer, who doesn't... You're the manager of Manchester United. It's like you said yesterday, your expectations are incredibly high at a club like Man United. You should settle in. Here's your list of expectations. Go win a Premier League. Go win a League Cup. First season maybe we'll be lenient.
Yeah.
But we're not going to keep it going for 4 years now, guys.
Jeez. All right.
That's just my opinion.
Listen, let's take one more question before I get onto international football.
Sure. Tabor said this is not recency bias. He came close to winning the league with Liverpool, and he won the Scottish League with Celtic. Would Brendan Rodgers not do just a bit better than Ole at United? I think that's interesting.
I do think that's interesting. I think you're asking a lot there. Again, there's certain managers that are mid-table managers. There's certain people in life who actually flourish when they're the underdog.
Sure.
And then there's alpha males who you got to put them in that Man United seat. It's a whole different beast. It's a whole different beast when you're the Man United manager than Leicester manager and Celtic manager. But, maybe you got to give them a go. I mean, like, how many more are United going to run through? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, who's next at Man United?
That's also a big thing.
Yeah.
Because as much as this Ole in, Ole out thing has been a thing on our show for, almost a whole week now, I know in the media it's a big thing already. It has been for a while.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen anything that says, Zidane in line to replace Ole or whatever.
No way. Why would he go?
I mean, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I don't think I've ever seen any news articles about who would be next in line.
Yeah. You know what it is? You know what worries me about... So what I like about Chelsea and Man City setups, it's very clear how Abramovich does it.
Sure.
What he's going to do is he's going to buy a batch of great players. So for him, it's clear. As the manager, you're disposable.
Sure.
We have a 5-year plan. Because players go in 5-year cycles, right? That's the football cycle. We spoke about it with Rogan a little bit yesterday. Is Abramovich is very clear. Is that the manager's going to come in and out, right? Man City are very clear. Is we have 5-year cycles. We're going to invest enormously in the playing staff, right? And almost make the manager irrelevant. Like the manager's irrelevant. Whoever comes in, we just plug them in.
Sure.
Yeah. What's the model at Man United? Like, I'm not sure where is it an Ollie 5-year thing? Are they going to invest in the playing staff? Because you got to do one. You got to have a model. Like in life, I know we all like to willy-nilly. That don't work. That might work to stay mid-table. It don't work if you want to win. You got to say, Ollie, 5 years, non-negotiable, right? Because you know what you do at the end of the 5-year cycle? At least you've got something in place, a foundation to work from,
sure.
A culture that's been built. Now you go and reset Ollie. Who's coming in? Whoever comes in rips it up. Okay, I don't like the food. By the way, if you've never been or read about football clubs, they change everything. Managers change the food, the diet. So one of the big things, David Moyes, let's take him an example. Rio Ferdinand said he changed the diet. He took away, I believe it was cheese off the diet or whatever. Managers manage it to that level. These little things we don't realize, that when a new manager comes in, the canteen changes. Right? The layout, the day when you train, how much you train. He may bring in his own physical staff. The fitness regime changes. Like, everything changes. Right? And footballers are creatures of routine. They hate change. Footballers resent change. Right? It's these little things. And I don't know what the plan at Man United is. Do you think there is a plan?
I think there might be. I think because I know for a fact when Fergie first started there at United, I think his first 2 seasons were relatively questionable.
That was in 1986. It was 34 years ago.
Yeah, Yeah, but I mean, I think they trying to How long has Ole been there now?
This is what, second season?
Yeah.
So 2.5 seasons now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're giving him time to build that foundation.
Yep.
I think they're seeing where he's gonna go with it. And I think, if they see by midway through next season he's still not getting anywhere,
Yeah.
I think that's when they might call it quits and
He's
say,
outta here.
listen, we got to rebuild.
My point is, listen, keep managers. I can deal with losing players. And for me, as a fan, I always want to dislike my leadership a little bit.
Sure.
You know why? Is that leadership often, the time will come when you've got to make the right decision, but it goes against my best interests. I never want to love my leadership. I always want to have a little something about them that I don't like. They must be a little bit different,
Sure.
Because at some stage, you can't be a fan as Ed Woodward, right? Is do the right thing. Get rid of players. Because if you're rooting, you want to keep Pogba. He's awesome, right? I'm a fan. Like, oh, look at his cool skills. I'm just saying, I'm not a Man United fan. Or I want to keep Pulisic at Chelsea. I'm like, keep him forever. But actually, if you want to be ruthless and be Roman Abramovich got rid of Frank Lampard. He got rid of Jose Mourinho twice, a man that brought him 3 titles. Like, that's what you got to do. You've got to be willing to go, just move off players. And my point is, change the model. Change the model, because the two most successful clubs are Arsenal, Man United in Premier League history. What have they done? Kept the managers. I don't know why people don't just, the model's
keep
already
managers
there.
for 30-odd years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway,
it's a whole different time.
I think are we done with Arsenal?
Yeah, we're
and Man
done
United?
with mediocrity.
I think wow.
Listen, I want to ask you something before we move on to the next subject.
Do it.
In your life, James, how do you pick what you do, like on weekends or whatever? Or whatever, in your personal time?
I enjoy spending time with people that aren't hard work to be around.
Yeah.
And that's just sort of how I kind of do it. I think, one weekend we'll have an evening where we drink way too much.
It's going to happen.
Then the next weekend we'll play football. The next weekend.
So is it just willy-nilly for you, or do you are you?
Relatively, I think, there's a lot of the time there are kind of set things that we do.
Yeah.
Like with my friend group in particular, I was like, guys, we need to get more active. This lockdown thing is not a vibe.
Yeah.
And I kind of forced them into playing football with me.
Yeah.
And so that's something we're trying to keep up with. So like, we'll try and have that as a set plan, and then after we'll do whatever our plan is.
And do you like the best version of things? Does it matter to you? Are you the type of person who would buy a certain TV if it was like, let's say there's 260 inches there, and that the Samsung one's really the better one? Would you skimp on the cash to get the other one, or would you rather save for the Samsung?
I can be prone to being brand biased.
Okay, so you do like the best version of things?
No, I don't like the best version of things, but yeah, I can be prone sometimes. I can be stupid with my money, essentially.
Oh, so you're just out there spending like the Wolf of Wall Street?
No, I'm not earning enough to spend like the Wolf of
in
Wall
your
Street.
world. I mean, in your,
You see, here's my thing, right? I want to be in a position one day, not where I have $28 billion.
It's a very specific number.
I know. Random, right?
All right.
I want to be comfortable.
Comfortable doing what? Like living on a yacht, 3 girlfriends? I mean, what are we talking about? What's comfortable?
I don't want to... I don't see myself as a very materialistic person.
Okay, most materialistic people would say
I
that.
know
okay.
that.
Yeah,
I know. But I just want to not be able to, at the end of the month, or towards the end of the month, say, ooh, do I have enough for, like, working out in my head, like...
Oh, when you're counting money at the till.
Oh, I can use
you got to
200
put the beans
for
back.
petrol, and then I can use, like, another 100 for...
Let's get into it. You ever been at the till, like, and you run out, on your card, you're not sure. Have you ever been in that situation?
What if I know that there's no money in my card?
Or you don't know, like you got 158 Rand in your account, and the beans, the toast, the bread, the popcorn is like at 153, and you're not quite sure if it's going to go through. Have you ever been in those situations?
It happened to me once.
Card declined.
Yeah.
Oh, take me into it.
I was in varsity.
Yeah.
I think first or second year.
Yeah.
On my way home, and I stopped at the garage, to get, I think it was like cigarettes and a drink or something, but it was like a day away from payday, or like 2 days away from payday. So I was like, I'll be fine. This will be like.
Well, when you say payday, did you have a job, or were your parents giving you pocket money? That's not really a payday, by the way. Like pocket money is not. You didn't work. The way you phrased it was like you were.
How do I answer this question? It's nothing shady.
Okay.
But I plead the fifth.
Okay, but you were getting income.
Yes, I was getting an income, but it's nothing like I was a drug lord.
Oh, you were a drug lord?
No, I said it's nothing like that.
Oh.
It's nothing shady.
But you were getting income.
I was.
Okay.
I was. Outside of that, I plead the fifth.
No, that's we'll get it out of you at some stage.
At one point.
All right, but so you were getting money, and then you were. What happened?
Yeah, so it was towards the end of the month, and it was at a stage where I was expected to pay for my own things.
Sure.
Like I couldn't be like, "Hey, mom, let's go shopping this weekend. I want new clothes." I had to use that money that I got monthly for my own petrol, my own cigarettes, my own whatever it was.
Yeah. Shouldn't smoke, by the way; it'll kill you.
I know it's a horrible.
Yeah.
It's a
And
horrible.
it smells revolting.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. Anyway, that's not the point of the story.
Sure.
So I went to the garage and got, I think, a box of smokes and then something to drink, or I was buying something, and I swiped my card, and when you swipe your card, if there's money, it kind of almost goes through instantly. This time it kind of didn't. I swiped my card, and it was just sat there for a good while. Didn't approve, nothing. I just stared at the machine.
Oh.
And that's about how that experience went.
So what did you do? Had you already bitten the pie?
No. I was very embarrassed, and I was like, let me go get cash out my car. And then I went to my car, and then I left. I didn't go with the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not that terrible of a person.
Wow, Jimbo. Luckily, did you have a girl with you?
No.
Yeah, because that's the end, huh?
I was just around the corner from home, so.
Okay, but there's no coming back like on a date.
Oof.
On a date.
Oof. If you're at a place like Fire Room or something like that.
I don't know what that is, but yeah, sure.
It's a bougie restaurant in Four Ways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Is that an ender for you? If you're on a date, you go 50-50 because obviously you just it's a first date, and then her card declines. What do you do, James?
That is an interesting question.
That's a good one, huh? Because now you're like, oh my goodness, why did you come out with no money? What else are you hiding?
I suppose that would be a question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be a dick and just be like, yeah, no, okay, cool, sort yourself out, go to the back and wash dishes. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm too nice for my own good. So I'd probably end up paying it.
Holy smokes. By the way, real life story happened with a friend of mine. She went on, the same friend who said I must ask you those questions earlier.
Sure.
She went on a date. She's like hardcore, right? And she went 50-50 and the guy's card declined.
Oof.
And he didn't have, And then,
oof.
No, she left him there. She paid it. Paid half the bill and sayonara. What do you think of that?
I think I'm actually...
she's wild.
I don't blame her. I don't. Because it was a terrible situation. And she did what she...
Hey, we're here now.
Right.
I always say to people...
Right.
Don't date out of your economic class.
No.
I always say, don't date out of your economic class. And people think I'm a bad person for saying that.
Sure.
For me, relationships are already hard enough. Like, hey, work a little harder. And if you want to start dating somebody who's on the moving and grooving, you need to be moving and grooving. I like this idea that you should be dating someone like way out of your economic class is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Am I crazy? Am I a bad person for saying that?
No. I think it's a very materialistic thing to say. I think when it comes to money and income and all of that stuff, I think genuinely it's one of the last things Sorry, there's a question. I'll read it now. It's one of the last things that's on my mind when I consider dating a girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
So okay, but hold on. What if the girl or guy, by the way, there's people who date guys that are guys out there, James.
that is
Don't be
correct.
closed-minded.
There are,
And there are ladies who date ladies.
we live in
and marry
2021.
ladies. Okay, but now my issue is this: when I say the economic class is generally, not always, generally with my personality type, is it's a good indicator how ambitious you are. Like I would never date somebody I have to pull off the couch. So if you're in a certain economic situation, generally for me it's an indicator of what type of busyness you have in life, right? Is so what am I doing there? Like, and I'm not talking like we're 5 years into the relationship and your girlfriend loses her job and you dump her. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, if we're dating 1 year 2, for me it's a non-starter. Like, are you working? Yes, good. We have an opportunity. Are you not working? Sorry. And
Well-
also, I'm not eating McDonald's, by the way.
Well,
If I-
8% body fat.
Yeah, I am.
Sorry, for those watching, Umbalelo has this massive ego thing. He's only got 8% body fat.
No, that's not an ego thing. I am 8% body fat. That's not an ego thing. That's real. That's real. I train like a beast.
Well, that's cool
Yeah, it is cool.
stuff.
Damn right.
Great stuff.
Yeah, damn right. Of it. But for me, I'm not doing it, James. I'm not dating anyone out of my economic class. And for me, I'd never approach a gajillionaire. Like, no. Like, what are we doing here?
Okay, so on that note, this ties in this question from Ali.
Yeah, Eddie,
Right.
what you got to say?
So Ali's question is, what would you do if her card declines on the first date? So how would you determine that you would go on this date with her if your whole big thing is don't date outside of, what do you call it? Your
Economic class.
economic class.
Mhm.
How would you determine, okay, cool, yeah, maybe I'll go on a date with her? How would you avoid this situation? And what would you do? No, wait, let me rephrase that. How would you be able to tell that this is a situation that could happen?
Mhm.
And what would you do if her card did decline?
Well, I meet people in very interesting situations.
Sure.
Because so I don't club, I don't pub, it's not my world anymore. So I generally meet people because of the way my life's set up in lifestyle situations.
Sure.
And the lifestyles I engage in have an economic barrier, right? So generally, not always, generally the people that are in there and the circles I move in now in my life. In my 20s, I was a mess, by the way. I was broke and sleeping on my friends' couches. So please don't think I'm sanctimonious or perfect. I'm just saying I've grinded to get where I am now. So where I move now is I just move with certain people. And 99% of the people where I move are unbelievably driven people. And my lifestyle is trail running and mountain running, which is an unbelievably expensive sport. So generally, the types of people I'm moving with in business and in my personal life, the economic thing ain't a problem.
So what he's saying is, for anyone listening,
Yeah.
and I'll address the camera directly. What he's saying is, right, the other day we found out that he's incredibly pretentious.
Yes.
Incredibly.
Yes.
He ordered glasses from
Denmark.
Denmark.
Hey, no big deal. Tom Brady, Christopher Klus. Combination.
NBD.
Yeah.
NBD.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So the second part of that you were asking is what would I do if
Yeah,
we're on the date?
essentially.
50% and good luck. Good luck to you. Because I've been the other person, right?
Sure.
I've been, so in my 20s, let me reveal things to you.
Go.
I became the guy after like football bombed out for me. I became the guy who was kind of bumming off my friends. I'd go out with my friends with no money, a horrible person, and expect them to just pay after I'm hammered. Like, this is the person you're dealing. So I've been that person. Like, no, you're not doing it to me. Like, forget it. We're not playing. No, good luck. You know how I look at life. If you're smart enough to get yourself into a situation, be smart enough to get yourself out. Because I did in my life. So if you're smart enough to wangle a date with me and you get to whatever restaurant I'd want to be at, and number one, I don't do dates like that anyway. But if you're smart enough to create the ruse to get me to a restaurant, good luck. You should be smart enough to get yourself out. So I would pay half and sayonara.
My brother says, he says, James loves blowing his money on Takealot. And there was a time where I bought shoes nearly every month.
No.
I swear.
You've only got 2 feet.
I I do. That's correct.
But you do have some pretty clean kicks. Though. I have seen some of your shoes.
Right?
Yeah. You
Wait, surely the white ones are pretty good looking,
they're
right?
clean. They're clean.
Exactly.
Yeah, those Adidas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those ones I wore yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a shoe guy. You got a fetish.
I did. I don't remember the last time I
How
bought a
many
new
pairs
pair.
of shoes do you have?
Oof. Before I moved out of my mom's house,
Oh my God, you have to think about it.
probably like over 10. Not kidding.
You've got more than 10 pairs of shoes.
Had.
So what did you do with it?
Had. Well, I when I moved out of my mom's house, I threw away a lot of stuff,
Okay, well,
or gave a lot of stuff to cancer.
yeah.
Um.
Wow.
So I mean, I only kept the shoes that were kind of.
How many pairs of shoes you got going now? Be honest. That's crazy, James.
I think probably 5 or 6, maybe a bit more.
Wow. Just sneakers, huh?
Yeah, because I'm very my clothes, when I wear clothes, I'm not very good at the whole color coding thing, right? I've become better at it.
How did you meet your girlfriend? Oh no, wait. That's a story for another time.
Well, it's a story for another
Yeah.
time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So many pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
All right. Weird stuff. All right, let's take one more question before we move on. We'll finish up.
Let's have a look. Should we go back to there's a comment about Ed Woodward.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let me just refresh the tweeter.
What's he got to say? What's going on?
Nothing from the tweeter. Let's have a look. Okay, so the comment about Woodward. Ole is getting a bumper new £10 million contract even if he doesn't win a trophy this season because Ed Woodward is convinced he is the man to take us forward.
You know what? I think it might be the right move because I think, again, you've walked too far down. Do you know what it's like? I'll use another relationship analogy. It's very easy to break up with somebody until you have a child. You've walked too far down the road. Once you have a baby, it's not about you anymore. I think now United is you've invested too much into Ollie, and now if you go and reset, it's what, a £500 million reset? Because look how much money they've spent under Ollie, and now you must go and reset again and again. New manager, hey, here's the thing: managers when they come in, they go, hey, I by the way, if you want me to win, I need this player, that player, that player, that player, and today that's £300 million like that, right? 4 players, £300 million at Man United. So I just think the problem with Ollie is you've walked too far down the road. And do I think he's reset the culture? I don't. Do I think at least the fans are getting on side, right? That's important. Like fans are important in football. So that's a tough one for me. What do you think? Would you keep Ollie in? I would keep Ollie, to be clear. Even people might think it's because Man United are losing. That's why I'd keep him. But I'd keep him. Again, once you've had a child or somebody, you can't break up with them. I think it's impossible to break up with them.
I don't know. I don't want to sort of go on again about the whole early and early out thing. But what I will say is, I think, like I said earlier, when are you, as a club, Manchester United, gonna say, okay, guys, let's stop wasting time. We're gonna find the right man for the job. It's not going to matter if he's a class of 99 player and played under Fergie and has the Manchester United mindset.
All of that, yeah.
We need to find a manager that is the right man for the job.
But let me ask you this, okay? Let's bring it back to real life. Everybody's done this. Like, I know 2 people in particular that they were dating someone whilst they were waiting for the person they want to marry to break up in a relationship. And then they actually both married the people I'm talking about.
In a completely different relationship.
2 different people separate. Like, they don't even know each other, actually, these people. Sometimes in life, James, and you'll discover this as you go through your 20s, is some people are just a bridge. Not everybody is your wife. Some people are just a bridge. Like, you get the stuff you need for now. But like, people know deep down. I think Ollie's the bridge to where they want to go.
I think, yeah.
So I think whilst they reorganize at executive level, you can kind of see what they're doing now. You've seen with Fletcher coming back, Carrick's back. I think there's Nicky Butt now has been, he's left. I know he said he's left, but I think they've probably squeezed him out the door. They're going to restructure the sort of the academy side and the executive level. And then on the first team level, let Ollie do his thing because he's steady, right? I think they've got somebody who they want to put a ring on it, as Beyonce would say. But Ollie's not the wife. Ollie's more the girlfriend and
the side chick.
I didn't say that, but because I'm a good person, unlike James, I would say Ollie's the bridge. He's not the final destination, because I think now, at long last, I think United realize there's so much to do around Ollie, which they allowed to erode. And also, Alex Ferguson was a bit of makeup for everything, right? You must remember, United didn't just lose Fergie; they lost David Gill as well. David Gill was the greatest football administrator we may have ever seen in the 21st century. Do you remember back in the day? Man United would just have a player. Like, it wasn't like in the paper. It wasn't big. What? Cristiano Ronaldo's going where?
Just arrived.
Yeah, Nemanja who? Patrice Evra in January arrives. Like, David Gill was phenomenal at that.
And they were these incredible stars.
Yeah. But that's David Gill, right? The sort of the executive side of things was taken care of. And then Fergie could take it into overdrive on the football side of things, because I don't need to worry about that. Now at United, the manager has to worry about the board and the owners and there's no football director. You know what I mean? I think United are restructuring that now, whilst Ollie is the bridge from girlfriend to wife. They're going to get a different wife when it's time. They're waiting for somebody else to break up with a relationship they're in now. We'll get a Pep Guardiola. They might even go back to Jose. I think that's very, very possible. Jurgen Klopp. Look out for a United thing. Honestly, because I think Klopp will take a break. Guys like him, he's going to need a sabbatical, and that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen. Hey, go to the YouTube segment, see if we've got any questions there.
That was actually the last one for a while. The last question we have is, what would you do if a card declines? And that was the answer we got. He's pretentious, guys.
I am pretentious. All right, let's finish off on one thing which I do think is pretentious. You know, I was asking James right now, I like the best version of things. So I'm not materialistic in the sense that I want many things. I don't have many things in life. I don't have many nice things in life. Probably the nicest things I have are my glasses, my bed, and my shoes. I have very few shoes, but I have. And my old lady used to say this to me: don't skimp on shoes, right? And don't skimp on your bed, because if you're not in one, you're in the other. Those are the two things I've been taught in my life. Don't skimp on your bed. Don't skimp on shoes. Get quality in both. So I'm not materialistic, but when I buy things, I buy the best. I buy the best because I only want the best version of things. Things are meant to be enjoyed. Things, unlike people, right? People are not just there for you. People aren't commodities. Commodities are there to be enjoyed. And football's a commodity now. Folks, I've said this before. Can we cancel international football, please? Cancel it. Because it is not the best version of the product. So why are you giving me so much of it? Why are you giving it so much attention? In all of our lives, they say you want to know who somebody is. Ask them to show you their diary. Because when people show you who they are, they'll show you by showing, here's where my attention goes. They say where your time goes, your energy flows. Right? FIFA and global football are spending far too much time on a product that is now at least 4th or 5th in the line. Let me give you some leagues that are 10 times more difficult to win than the World Cup. Premier League, Champions League, right? Premier League is the platinum package. That is the most difficult, most competitive sporting league in the world. Not just football, sporting. There is nothing on this planet more competitive than the Premier League. Nothing. Champions League is second. La Liga is third. And just ahead of Serie A, just is the World Cup. Folks, cancel international football. I don't care about CONCACAF Cup. I don't care about AFCON. I don't care about Euros. I don't care about any of that, and nobody does. Do you know how I know? Every single time you hear football fans talk about an international break, what is the overlying message? Right? It's always, oh my God, why? We don't need it. And to have it in a pandemic is asinine. But I'll tell you why I don't like international football. It is not the best version of the product. I'm not going to consume international football because I consume the Premier League. I've already got the best. Folks, it's like being married to Giselle Bundchen and then downgrading to your high school sweetheart who is 3 kids later.
And broke up with you in a letter.
Hey, real story for James. I'm not doing it. And you know what? All of us work far too hard for our money to now go and pay to go and watch a second grade product. And I'm afraid international football is not the highest level. You know how I know that? Is that you can't buy people to play for Germany. And there's no pride in that. Like, get the nationalism thing out the way, please. It's nonsense. We want the best version of products. I live in South Africa. I watch more Premier League than I watch PSL. Right? I'm fickle as a consumer now. And by the way, brand loyalty is the biggest misconception I've ever heard. It's absolute nonsense, by the way. It's malarkey. It doesn't exist. Do you know who fans are loyal to? Their pocket, themselves. International football is dead. And I've said this before. Folks, businesses close 5 years before the doors actually get shut. Go and ask Nikon. Go and ask them, right? Go and ask all these companies that were so great back then. Nikon may be around now, but it's not the same. Go and ask BlackBerry. They are not the same because they were sleeping when Samsung were coming. Go and ask all these companies, right? Go and ask Toyota. Go and ask these great companies. Tesla are here now. 5 years before your business closes, you're redundant. International football is basically a defunct company. They just don't know it yet. Folks, again, you're in a relationship. Let me tell you something. Relationships don't end on the day your girlfriend breaks up with you. 2-3 years before, you were doing something annoying. International football now is becoming... We resent it now. Give me one positive about international football. Just one. I've never heard anybody say anything positive. And you know why? Here's my final point, why I resent it. Players have to get paid. International football doesn't pay players. I'm sorry, it's a business now. I have no time, especially... Listen, I may be biased because I'm in Africa. I feel horrible for Sadio Mane, right? Because he has to go back to Senegal where there's no... The planes are ridiculous. There's no medical care for the players. Often the players have to pay for their own flights. We remember Al Hadji Diouf paying for the whole team. Samuel Eto'o paid for the whole of Cameroon. Folks, it's putting Sadio Mane in a horrible position. And let me tell you how. If Sadio Mane says the people that pay me, right, don't want me to come, how does he look to the Senegalese people? Right? How does he look? But then he goes and breaks his ankle on a horrible pitch in Africa. Then how does he look? And then you say, oh no, he's the bad man for not coming home. When he says, listen, I'm making £200,000 a week. They are paying me, right? Oh, and by the way, I've got maybe 30 people in my family that are desperately poor. What are you saying about Sadio Mane? Why are we putting our players in this position? And I live in Africa. I keep it real. I've got no time to keep a facade up. Our unions do not pay our players. Our associations are as corrupt as you like. So for me, you're putting, and I'm speaking from an African perspective, you're putting players in an impossible situation. You know, everybody who works, you work at a bank, you can go and work at a bank for 35 years. You're a footballer, you have between 8 and 10 years to be the best you can be. And by the way, in that time, get all the money you can. Because most of these guys, they don't go to school. They go from 16 to 18 to academy to the top. International football does what for an international player? In fact, even from the best of associations. Because you don't get a second, third contract with Sweden, with Germany, with Brazil. You don't. You do with Man City. You do with Barcelona. You do with Stoke. Wherever you go in Europe, they'll pay you. They will pay you. What is international football bringing to the table? But here's my solution. I don't want to be just a guy of complaints and no solutions. My solution is this. Keep the World Cup, right? And at the very least, you have your AFCONs and Euros, but those are all in the same year so that our calendars are the same. This nonsense of AFCON in the middle of the year and Copa Americas at this time, it's in January, it's nonsense, right? What you do is you keep those. And by the way, right, the top, let's say 6 from every tournament or top 8 from every tournament are going to the World Cup. No need for qualifiers. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If you want to go to the World Cup, make it special. You go and better perform at your own African AFCON or Euros or whatever it may be. That's the solution. Cancel international football, because then you know what you do. You actually get a better product long term. You know why? Because the players are rested. You can't have guys. It's not sustainable to play 55 games a year, folks. Not at this level, not this intensity, not with the travel. And guys are doing international shoots now. Guys are global brands now. They're human beings. And what you're doing is diluting your own product. And by the way, FIFA, how much is enough? You get money from every single association in the world. You get money from UEFA. You get money from the Premier League. International football does what? It's not the best version, James. And again, I'll tell you, I'm not interested in buying things if they're not the best version of something. I'm not. I'm just not. I have very few things. But what I can afford, I save, and I go to the very limit of my budget for things. Football is a thing, and I want the best version. I want Premier League, La Liga, Champions League, and that's it. Like, I want European football, and I want African football at the league. That's it. I don't want this malarkey. Like, what? I've got Azerbaijan playing England. What are we doing there, James?
The amount of times I've seen Spain versus Azerbaijan on the TV guide on SuperSport has been ridiculous.
It's a joke.
I think, look, I was reading the comments as you were speaking, and I couldn't agree more. One comment says, I think you mean Kodak. You said Nikon went bankrupt.
Oh, sorry, Kodak. Yeah.
But so the one comment says it's only the World Cup that's valuable because of the marketing behind it.
1,000% agree.
Absolutely.
So keep that.
Okay. I agree. On top of that, someone else said, true, the World Cup is the only exciting international football where you already have the best in the world. It's entertaining. So when it comes to international football, okay, and you're playing Euros and you're playing World Cup, which I already think Euros should be kind of scrapped. Why do you need to compete for a best in Europe?
Or Africa or whatever, yeah.
It's boring.
But how would you qualify for the World Cup? See, for me, I'd say put that in the middle, like we do now. Euros is every 2 years, so it's in the middle of the World Cup. But I'm saying, let's find a way. Like all of the big continents, because what's 32 in the World Cup, huh?
Yeah.
So let's go to how many continents do we got? It was 6, huh?
7.
7. Is that including Antarctica?
Yes.
No, so Antarctica doesn't have a team, so 6.
You can play on Antarctica if you want.
You can. So let's just say 6. What's that into 32, James?
I did maths lit.
Yeah, you did.
And
hey?
I went to after. So
no, you did.
You're asking the wrong person.
You very much
Where's
did.
Paolo when you need him? He'd probably answer the question.
But my point is this. From every tournament, AFCON, Euros, whatever, you just take the teams that are the top 4. What does that give you? 24. And then the other 8, you have a playoff from the smaller unions. Just so New Zealand don't get left out. Australia don't get left out. Azerbaijan, San Marino. You make like a global playoff for them to get into the World Cup for those 8 other slots that are left, all right? Do that. There we go. Solved. And I don't want to hear Germany are playing Netherlands in a friendly in the middle of a Premier League.
It's dumb. I get it. Okay. You have to report for international duty, and you have to, maybe it helps with morale, and it helps with building a squad, and a squad that's played together before when you do get to those big international stages like the World Cup.
Yeah.
But I don't get the point, and it happens every year. After the Premier League season is kicked off, I think it's after the first 2 or 3 weeks, there's already an international break. And it's something that has irritated me for many, many years.
No, because
why?
So,
why?
But as we become global consumers, like the PSL in South Africa, we have the Premier League soccer, right?
Sure.
They're learning something.
Sure.
Is everyone always gets nostalgic, all right? Oh, you're not a real African if you don't support PSL. What do you... It's like, no. Now I can watch Netflix. So you can't make the crap that you made before and have to swallow it, right? Like for a long time, we swallowed crap. People globally. Like it's whatever crap's around you, that's what you got to watch. Like no, now if I don't like what I've got, you know what I'm doing? I'm buying myself in from China. If you're ripping me off, I'm going to buy it online and I'm buying it directly from the producer in China, in Korea, in America. You know what I mean?
Because you have the choice.
Thank you. Like now, excuse me, hey, I've got choices. Which is why now I say, so we call them sophisticated consumers now, right? Is now with the choices, is by the way, I'm not beholden to the producer. Is give me the best price and give me the best version of things. And if I don't like it, I'm not going to have it. Like before, do you remember, we used to have to watch whatever was on TV. Like, nah, hate it, YouTube. Bye.
There you go.
Bye.
There you go. Let me go watch Jake or Logan Paul. And,
yeah, thank you.
You know.
Right? And now I don't have to watch things with ad breaks when you want me to watch them. I'll watch it when I want. So my thing about international football, the only problem I have with it, it's not the best version of the thing. Cancel it. It's dead. For me, that's how things evolve, right? Is, oh, no, we found a better way. Club football. Oh, okay, let's pay them. Okay, all right, hey, the very best of the very best, Champions League. Okay, great. That's the best version. Excellent. Now we're done.
We've cracked the code.
Yeah.
Nice. You see, so someone said on Twitter now, and this is actually, because obviously I got the running order and I knew what we were going to be speaking about today. And this is not something I actually thought about when I read the running order this morning.
Yep.
What about those players in Asia or other leagues who don't have the exposure, who might use the international stage to prove themselves? So, I mean, it's a fair point. Absolutely. I think, World Cups and international football has given rise to players like James Rodriguez, Divock Origi.
Sure.
I mean, Divock Origi got his Liverpool contract through, I think it was the 2014 World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been uber useful for us.
He scored in the Champions League. Saved you guys there.
But I think it's a good comment. What about what exposure would these players from Asia or these smaller countries, what opportunities would they get if they wanted to play in these bigger leagues, which everyone does?
Sure.
Everyone wants to play. There's a reason I don't watch the PSL.
Yeah.
It's not entertaining to me.
That's rubbish.
There's a reason why I watch mainly the top 5 leagues in the world.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, don't watch all of them, but I keep track of it.
Yeah.
What opportunity would these players have? Which is fair.
I don't think it's fair. I have no interest in when we come to this. We're just talking about football now and elite sport. I have no interest for inclusivity when things are elite. I have no interest. Like the PSL, that's your problem that you got a crap product. It is not FIFA's problem. It's not my problem as the consumer.
Sure.
As the consumer, it is not my business, right? That's China's fault. That's Sri Lanka's fault. Whichever region that person's talking about is. Why is that my problem as the consumer? It's not my problem that the PSL's crap.
It's not, but it becomes your problem.
In what sense?
Without the 2014 World Cup and the 2010 World Cup, the name escapes me. Was it James
Rodriguez.
Was he the 2010 World Cup dude where everyone who was the 2000? Was it Diego Forlan?
Yeah, well, I mean, he was already doing it. But
look, okay, so
Uruguay, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I get the gist of what you're saying.
So without these World Cup tournaments,
yeah,
which I think everybody can agree, we're not saying should be scrapped, but without these tournaments where national teams get to represent themselves, there's no birth of players like James Rodriguez. There's no future career for players like Diego Forlan, because maybe eventually they'll end up on the map.
Yep.
To PSG or something like that. They'd be scouted a couple of times, might get signed, maybe not.
Yep.
James Rodriguez, for example, where was he before that World Cup? Do you know?
He was in Italy, I think. But no. This goes counter to what I would say is that there's no movie industry in South Africa. So what am I to complain now that because there isn't a Hollywood setting here, I'm not Howard Stern? Like, that's South Africa's fault. That's not America's fault that they created Hollywood and created that incubation space. Like, it's not I would say it's not Italy's fault that they've got a great league for people to come and play in. That's not their fault. And the smaller countries, again, that's FIFA's fault.
Sure, absolutely.
So for me, that why are you putting that on me as the consumer? Like, that's not my problem. Is the fact that India don't have an awesome football league? FIFA, what the hell are you doing? No, you're too busy organizing Uzbekistan against Spain,
and
rather than
picking pockets.
Yeah, let's take all of that money that's being put into crap fixtures like Uruguay against Costa Rica, which is a friendly. Let's put it into the British Premier League model. How do we help the Indian Football League get that? The South African Football League. Hey, how do you take what is an awesome product, right? What is, like, there is good football being played here, but what's the product? Like, why is FIFA not plugging into that?
Here's what you do. I'll tell you.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay. You and yes, it may be creating a whole new sort of tournament, but not on an incredibly large scale.
Yeah.
You give these teams the opportunity to represent their national team, because obviously it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing to, as a 25-year-old, walk out on the pitch
100%.
wearing your country's colors.
Sure.
FIFA, I think, should be playing more of a role in developing these national teams and these internal leagues, so that when it does get time to a World Cup in 20 years from now, for example, you have a team like, I don't know, South Africa in a World Cup final.
It's a nice example, yeah.
I
agree with you.
And you don't have to make a spectacle about it. You don't have to say, cool, guys, we're selling 25,000 tickets to come watch South Africa versus, whatever, Cote d'Ivoire or DRC. Yeah. You don't have to say, oh my God, we've got the naming rights, we've got everything, we're sorted for this. You don't have to do it. You just let the game play out, let things happen.
But let's not be hypocrites, please. All of us say this, right? And we buy Netflix. Like, don't be a hypocrite. Like, if you're not into and I sound elitist, then don't watch SABC.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You don't make a spectacle out of it, because then you have a choice.
Yeah.
There it is on SABC 1, Cote d'Ivoire, Republic of South Africa. There you go. Okay, thanks. I'm gonna go play Xbox. I'm gonna go swim.
It's this ridiculous idea that I have to be compassionate through a national sort of a nationalist mindset of, oh my God, it's from here, so I have to. No, thank you. I'm a global citizen now. I want the best. Like, you know what the problem with life is? You can't unsee things. So, like, I've been to Sweden. Oh my word, the trains can work in a country. I can't unsee that. So for me, don't put it on me as a consumer. That's FIFA's problem, and that's their problem, right? I know we all want to be these la-di-da, empathetic people, but this is an elite level. Oh, and by the way, not everybody should get to play football for a living.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Like, please, like this inclusivity. Like, let's have a drum circle.
Alan.
No, but seriously, the elite level of football is not for everyone. If you can't make it, too bad.
There's a reason it's elite, right?
Listen, I'm born in South Africa. I don't hate Idris Elba because he's in Hollywood. Like, for all of my sins, I live here.
Sure.
So, like, please, this idea that everybody should get a chance is madness. I'm sorry. Like, you live in India and you're born there. You're born in South Africa. Sorry, that's your lot. Like, that's sorry. And then if you're not Sadio Mane, by the way, sorry. Sorry. Life isn't about goo goo gaga for everyone. Sorry. You're born in Sri Lanka. Horrible. You're born in South Africa. Horrible. Sorry. Like, we all have
you, buddy.
Yeah, we all have our stuff, right? It can't be just impossible. Hey, Jimbo, let's take some questions before we go, if we've got anything.
Last one on. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Last one on the YouTube. To be honest, various international teams have players from a different nationality. Just live long enough in a country and your residence seems pointless. So I read a tweet this morning, actually.
Yep.
About a young Jamaican. Mm-hmm. I think he's got British parents or something.
There's a lot of those.
Plays for Swansea. Mm-hmm. And he has hopes of playing for Jamaica at the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a massive thing. You get these players like Raheem Sterling, for example, world-class player on a good day.
Yep.
Terrible player on a bad day. Not a fan of him as a Liverpool fan. I'm not a fan.
That's emotional stuff, yeah.
There you go. I think you wouldn't be exposed to the unique running style of Raheem Sterling if he had chosen Jamaica as his national team, but he chose England.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if that's what the point of this comment is, but I think, what would Manchester City be, or the Premier League be, without the unique running style of Raheem Sterling on a good day?
So, well, he's British first and Jamaican. So,
Yes.
so you're
Correct.
saying these smaller teams. So, read that comment for me again.
To be honest, various international teams have players from a different nationality.
Mm-hmm.
Just live long enough in a country and you're a resident seems pointless.
Okay, so that seems more like, hey, you should play for where you're born. I guess that argument goes with like France, or not even born. Like, France basically look like the West African, the West African collection of players, right? Let's be honest about it, please. Let's not.
I plead the fifth.
People are so PC these days. Like, it looked like West Africa United, and I think a lot of people had problem with that, and that becomes a complicated conversation. Colonial history,
Sure.
blah blah blah. It's like, if we're going to be global citizens, let's be all in on that. All right. I'm not big on national borders myself in some sense, but we can't have a la-di-da. Let's all have a drum circle. Naturally, people have to be managed. I think that one becomes tricky, like all of a sudden now, hypothetically, I marry a Danish woman. I live in Denmark. My child is Danish.
You get free glasses.
I do get, I'll probably buy 10 of these. What then? So are you saying my child, must play for South Africa? Well, what about my wife? By the way, there's a wife in these things.
Well, that's how most marriages work.
Yeah, well.
Right?
So, but what do we do about that?
I think
these are real things. A lot of these guys. So, Mikel Antonio is probably going to play for Jamaica.
I know he is.
So some of these guys, Max Aarons, they made a call to him to play for. He's a wonderful player, by the way, right back. He might play for Jamaica if England don't pick him up. England don't need right backs. Again, these are, Aaron Wan-Bissaka had the chance to play for Congo. It looks like he's chosen England. It looks like he might choose Congo now.
Well, look who he's competing against.
Yeah, there's a lot of right backs, yeah.
Honestly.
So I think that one's a tricky one. For me, no. I think you should be able to, because personally, I feel national football is useless anyway. I actually don't care what country you play for.
Sure.
I care what club you play for, because the countries don't pay you.
You do get paid by countries.
Yeah,
you get paid by your federation.
Yeah, but I want £200,000 a week. These guys are earning.
Sorry, I forget when you're Leo Messi. Did you see his contract? It's totally off topic. Did you see his contract got leaked?
Yeah, saw that. Shame. Where you been living? Under a rock?
It reminded me because 200. Anyway, last
deserves every penny. By the way, Leo Messi.
Yeah, we'll say that for a whole nother show. You can talk 2 hours about Ronaldo versus Messi.
Yeah,
keen. Last one on the Twitter. It's referring to that comment about players in Asia and the little leagues.
We'll finish off on that.
I was talking about Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Great players in a great league, but no chance to prove themselves.
Okay. I guess that does become difficult. You never want to be this nobody deserves a chance. And I think we need to put pressures on the structures that be. And you know what? As people, you know what people are really bad at? Organizing themselves. We're so bad at fighting for a similar cause. That's whoever that may be is, whoever sent that message, great message is, and people are in vulnerable situations in those spaces. So you never want to be glib, and say, like, relatively speaking, South Africa is actually quite a stable country for those that live where we live, right? Like,
if you live in the north.
Yeah, we live in middle class bubbles here.
Sure.
So, but even then, South Africa, relatively speaking, is actually a pretty stable country. Because I've been to some countries in Europe, and boy, oh boy, I'd rather live here. I dated someone who was from a country in Europe, and I'd rather live here.
Was it like? What's
I'm not going to say. But
out to Siberia.
Not too far. You're actually not too far. But again, those countries is. How do we put pressure on the people that are... By the way, there is billions flowing to these people as well, to the federations. Like, that is no lie. There are billions flowing. Now, I don't know what the situation is in the East. I don't want to pretend to know what's happening in business there. But what are we doing about putting pressure on FIFA for those regions? I think that's a great message. It's like, what are we doing about that? As football fans, number one, do we have a responsibility to get in there? Or, as in politics, the people we put there, should we be, what are we doing to put pressure on them?
Maybe even outside of that, former players. Like you spoke about Sadio Mane. Okay. Senegal have produced a fair amount of
plenty sensational players. Sensational players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So outside of those players that have been produced by Senegal, why are those players that came out of Senegal and not players anymore?
Mhm.
Why aren't they driving that in their own countries with their millions?
Well, look, that's tough as well.
Maybe it's not fair on them.
Yeah, because
obviously,
it's not
for
your
sure,
job
for
to
sure.
go and become like. I've always said this. I don't want sportsmen being role models. Just because you won a genetic lottery, it doesn't mean you're an ethical person.
Sure.
So for me, I've never believed in sportsmen should be role models.
Sure.
I think it's very dangerous because, again, sportsmen are very selfish people.
We'll
And
see.
if you want your children looking up to selfish people, now there's parts in becoming an elite sportsman. I think we can teach children, perseverance, coming back from adversity. Like there are, but I don't want sportsmen becoming role models. And I don't know when this happened in society, but I've never thought of it that way.
Sure.
And I didn't need my parents to tell me, like, Tiger Woods might be up to other stuff. Like, I was like, I just love Tiger Woods playing golf. Oh, well, he's sleeping with half the world. Oh, well. Like, because it didn't shatter some mold. He wasn't perfection for me. And we've done that, by the way, as society. I don't think it's up to those players to go and look after their country. That's why you have politicians. And I know in the ideal world, I hear what you're saying.
Sure.
But in the real world, no. Because also, some people are selfish. That's okay.
Absolutely.
And that's okay, by the way. Like, some people are about themselves. That's okay. You have no right to go and tell Sadio Mane, although luckily he's like the greatest dude ever, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He would do it.
And has done it. I mean, I believe he's built 100 schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Senegal, yeah.
And that's just one of the things. But
Yeah.
not everybody's that. And by the way, that is okay. That is the world. I don't think we should be compelling people and telling people. That's very dangerous. Like, once you start telling people what to do with their money and you're not a good person if you don't give back, I'm not into that, dude. Like, I want to give to my family.
Sure.
I want to look after myself. And also, you must remember, these guys come from poverty.
Sure.
Sometimes I just want to look after myself. Like, what do you want people to do? Work their whole lives, and now the guy's 50 and he's a millionaire, and we must keep working. Like, come on.
And give his
He lived the dream.
hard-earned millions.
Like, these guys, it's impossible to become a
Sure.
footballer. He goes and lives the dream. We shouldn't be... I'm not big on compelling people to be good people.
Sure.
Like, be a good person or don't be a good person. That's just my take. So, I don't know. That's a slippery slope, dude. That is a slippery slope. All right, Jimbo.
One last thing.
yeah.
Sorry, before we move on. We didn't even address this once. We should have. The results on the poll. Should international football be scrapped? We got a 50-50.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Which is interesting.
Interesting.
So half the people think, get it the hell out.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't expect that number. I would have thought more people would want to keep international football. Wow.
I kind of did expect this.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I don't know a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, it's the international break now.
Yeah.
No Premier League. Woo. No.
Malarkey.
I don't know anybody like that actually.
Me neither. Do you know what? This weekend, like, I have a mini depression.
Right? Me too.
Like, I mean, it's like, what am I going to do this weekend? I exercise every Saturday and Sunday morning, and then what?
Oh, you run for 3 hours, don't you?
Yeah, but that's in the morning. I get up 5 o'clock,
8% body fat.
8% body fat doesn't come for free. Jimbo,
Exactly. There you go.
Listen, it's been awesome. And for today, ladies and gentlemen, remember to like, share, subscribe. And by the way, before you go, if you're on our channel, push that one. That's like. So like the show. If you don't like the show, by the way, this didn't even happen. Whatever you were doing before this, go back to it. I don't know, whether you were arguing with your girlfriend, washing the dishes, I don't know, mowing the lawn. What else do people do, James? Milking a cow.
Laundry. Making butter.
Cutting their nails. Making butter. Do people still churn butter?
I don't think so. And I think they do in that country where you dated the one girl.
That's hilarious.
Out to Siberia.
On that note, whatever you were doing before this, like, share, subscribe. Click that one. Please like the video. That helps us with as the Spanish and Rafa Menidez might say, algorithm. It'll help us move on up. And like, share, subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. We are marching on our way to 1,000 subscribers. Looking forward to that. And ladies and gentlemen, listen, it's been awesome. James, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I think today was a good show. I was worried. It was just two of us, but I think I like this chemistry.
James, I'm very good at what I do, so you should never be worried if you're with me. You're going to be okay.
Well, I mean, we did go live late.
Yeah, but, you Can't control that. All right. Jimbo, it's been great. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm MKT. That is James Illingsley. And for now, we are the hell out of here.